Hello, colleagues. My name is Jose Macia, and I am a professor at Broward College in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I'm happy to join you today, and thank you for joining me in this lecture with the topic of technology and education. Um, why is it important, and why might it be important for you? I'm not 100%. I'm not sure how many of you might be thinking of going into teaching at different levels, but sometimes it can definitely be not only a primary career in terms of a full-time position, but also real professionals in the workplace, like many of you might decide to teach on the side as well. And one of the areas that is currently very active is the area of educational technology. So I'd like you to think of this particular lecture. First of all, it has some interactive components, and I'll talk about that in just a few minutes. Um, but also, I'd like you to think of it in terms of how it might apply to your situation or your career goals, or something that you might be involved in currently in terms of either academia or the corporate world. Because I believe that it actually does have quite a bit of the applicable components in terms of applying the tools of educational technology to the professional world, and hopefully you'll find it valuable. Um, but in our journey today, which is a 2 hour presentation, pretty long presentation, I'd like to first introduce myself. Um, as I said, my name is Jose Macia, but I'd like to give a little bit more of an introduction of myself. My educational background or work experience, if you will, is has always pretty much been in teaching. I've now been teaching for about 20 years. My first 6 years or 6 to 7 years were in high school. I actually started as a middle school teacher for a teacher that was on sabbatical, which was my first teaching job while I was completing my master's degree in English. And that particular job went through one semester, or about approximately 6 months, or I guess it would be about 4 months, because the teacher came back from sabbatical. And then after that, I went on to a high school. With that experience, I was able to land a job at a high school teaching English. I've always been not I've always been an English professor, as in English, as you know, English, language arts, literature, at the high school and community college level at first. And then also I have experience in teaching and my own academic background in teaching English as a second language, which is known as ESL or ESOL or EAP, which stands for English for Academic Purposes. Normally the types of programs that you see in colleges. They are second language programs for students who are also learning a college, or earning, that is, a college degree. And they usually involve the content of, for example, reading and writing at a college level, not at first at the beginning of the programs, because the students are still learning English as a second language, but depending at what level, the academic goal of those programs is to teach students from different to teach them, excuse me, second a English as a second language, um, with the goal of being able to study here in college in the U.S. So I also have a master's degree in English, as I said before, and a doctorate degree in higher education. Beyond my doctorate degree, I am currently, after quite a few years, going back to school. Yes, I'm pretty much halfway done with a degree in instructional technology, which is what brings me here today. My interest and love for instructional technology was that I first got in was probably about 5 years ago. I first got involved in teaching um, what's called blended or hybrid courses, which would be 50% in the classroom and 50% online. Then I went from there to teaching um, online courses, and I currently, beyond my full-time job at the community college, teach for um, a few online universities. It has been a great experience. I have learned an incredible amount of valuable information from many resources, not just my academic work at the university. Um, because I'm currently, as I said, a graduate student at Fort Hays State University in their instructional technology program master's degree, which is fully online, by the way, because I live in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and that university is in Hays, Kansas. Um, by the way, I just want to just for uh, take a moment here and let you know that if by chance you hear some noise in the background a little bit, scattering around, or it's probably one of my sister cats, who I love very much, and it would not be surprising because this is kind of a casual presentation, although hopefully very extremely valuable for you. But it would not be surprising that one of them jumps over the laptop that I am screencasting from. So right now, what you have is, what I'm doing is actually called screencasting. You're probably wondering what's on the actual screen, and to be honest with you, it wasn't fully on purpose. It was basically was opening several several different websites that I will be presenting to you. So I'll get back to, you probably were noticing the one of Google Business Suite, and I'll get back to that later. But this particular function, being able to see the professor, on the screen, sort of like right now as I'm lecturing, and you won't have to be looking at me the entire time because in some of the presentations, I will actually be, I will be demonstrating. I want you to see the entire screen. I'm going to share my screen with you, which is part of screencasting. So, but yes, this is called screencasting. And we use it in educational as part of probably one of the primary tools that I've learned how to use in my studies of educational technology. And it's been very valuable because I get to lecture for my students and show them what I am looking at on the screen, what I want them to look at, that is. For example, right now, I'm moving my cursor over the Screencast-O-Matic website. And one of the tools that I've picked up through the resources that I have been exposed to, like I said, there have been quite a few resources, not only my academic studies. One important resource is the BAB group. Let's quickly show you the website. Might be familiar with this particular website or the name. The BAB group has been extremely important in my growth as an online professor because I get to network with other online professors as part of the BAB group, and it is really, they truly offer quite a bit of very important information that I couldn't do without, to be honest with you, in my growth as an online professor. So, moving on now to the actual tools, and like I said, I hope that you find this to be relevant to your situation and whatever that may be. I really hope so. And actually, as a graduate student in an instructional technology program, I will be I will tell you that as we move forward in the in this great experiment of technology, if you will, of the 21st century and beyond, um, I really believe that the idea that, or it's my observation from even seeing its growth recently, that the idea of using technology as a way of training others will not be limited, will go way beyond just K through 12 and higher education, colleges and universities. In other words, it won't just be about education, if you will, or earning a degree online, although that keeps happening and growing more and more each day. But it will really, it is really morphing into the idea that you know, millions of people or different employees might be able to be trained or will be trained from one specific site or one instructor, if you will. So you will notice that if you do some research on online degrees, you will actually notice that there are quite a few programs in in not only the United States but internationally. But if you're concerned about, for example, making sure that programs are accredited and in the United, by, in other words, that it's a U.S. accredited or regionally accredited school, well, it is extremely um, impressive that these schools, more and more each day, are offering online education. So yeah, it is happening in this world. It's been happening in the education world for a while, but um, but it is something that is not only considered, as I said, in these online programs, um, masters and PhDs online. You actually do have you actually do have students and programs that are focused on instructional training, what's called human performance and technology. This whole idea of training others online, this is becoming very big. It's not just in that field anymore. So hopefully, like I said, you will find some applications to what you do with some of these tools that I will introduce to you today. All right. So, since I was discussing Screencast-O-Matic, which is one of the tools, by the way, one of the top tools, I would just like to let you know that I do pay a membership myself, and I'm not in any way representing, by the way, anyone or anything that I introduce you today. I am in no way representing in a way such as where I worked for them or anything like that. Okay, I just want to make that clear, and um, not even promoting them as necessarily the perfect tools to use. Um, what I'm hoping is that you might be able to sort of see how I'm researching many of these tools and how I've come across them. And then, you know, maybe it'll make it easier for you if you decide to use them in your career. But at the same time, maybe you'll find a better tool. And please feel free to send me that information and share alike if you do, because I'm more than happy to do that. And actually, I'll get to that in a minute, but I will be giving you my email and a place where you can actually send, where you can send me information and we can keep in communication. So, so it'll be sort of like I'm recording this now, and then after this lecture, and I don't even want to call it a traditional lecture, but after this experience, if you will, hands-on learning experience, you can actually you will be able to interact within a community, a Google community, which is one of the tools that I'm planning to cover today, since we have so much time. So let me go ahead and just begin by saying that I do pay for this particular membership. By the way, this is not my email. Please do not send it to Dr. JJ Messia. That's an email, an older email where they send me that bill for using Screencast-O-Matic. Okay. Now I'm currently using